I got my drink. Oh, we're live.
Oh, we're live. Look, it says you are live right there.
Right there.
Oh, I gotta love technology. How much does it cost a month to use this crap? I think I asked for them. I said, hey, I don't want the logo crap on my. Someone's got their microphone on.
I just want to see if it was live on YouTube. I paused it.
I don't want that logo. And he goes, yeah, it's like $25 a month. I said, I don't run ads or do anything. He goes, oh, I'll give you a 20% discount for a year. I'm like, no, because then still even like $20 a month is still too much. So thanks for playing. Anyway, so.
Right
there. It's right.
I know.
Yeah. All right. Hey, look, we're serious old grognards and we don't like anybody. Well, apparently OG doesn't, but
get off my damn lawn.
I'm the nice guy in all this, right? The OG. You get your finger out of his ear.
Hey, buddy. Woo.
So I just wanted to get together and hang out because I did the whole Valentine's thing and I'm over it. And I've done it. I've fulfilled my wonderful and loving obligations. And now I just want to hang out and talk about dice and board games and hexes and counters and artwork and rules and things. And are you ducking up and down there, dude, or are you just moving?
I just adjusting the camera to get the best angle.
Yeah, because try the. Never mind. At least you got the.
Try turning it off. That's the best angle.
You gotta turn the camera off and just leave the audio.
Shall we talk about what we're drinking? Because you got that lovely glass there. I know. I bet Devin and I are hitting it hard.
I mean, it's a famous grouse glass, but it's this. Whoops, Michter's. They drink it on billions. It's got to be good.
Oh, billions. I'm drinking bubbly from our PepsiCo overlords.
Yeah, that's got mind-bending. Why does my camera keep refocusing?
I'm drinking water.
Seattle's best.
Seattle's best.
Oh no, Seattle has the best coffee, so I'm told.
All the refuse from the Boeing plant goes into it.
And Amazon. So you were just up here, Kevin. And I know you've been up here before. Tell us about that. Tell us about Game On. What'd you do?
Game On. Make us jealous.
Yeah. I was there for a little bit, but I didn't.
Yeah, you can. Well, I appreciate you coming in and say hi because that.
Honestly, you were the reason, pretty much the only reason why I showed up.
I'm feeling, but look the hearts come feeling the love.
It's like Valentine's Day.
It's like a week late, but it's good. But it was cool. There was a lot of, obviously a lot of wargaming, a lot of Euros, a lot of war Euros. There was a lot of Cloney, Axis and Allies things going on. And then there was super hardcore, lots of great great campaigns of the American Civil War. There were 2 different tables playing that at one point. And some guys, one guy who's a follower on my YouTube channel, Jerome, he must have played 4 games of that. A big 2 or 3 mapper and then multiple scenarios. He just, if he's not an expert now, he never will be. And then, of course, some of the advanced after combat guys played a scenario as well. And there weren't any monsters this year other than World at War, the GMT World at War. That went from whenever it starts, 37 or 36 or whatever, and they got all the way through 43 or something crazy like that. 4 guys and 1 coach. So there was some really serious gaming, and then a lot of light stuff. I played 7 games. I played 7 games, which is great, right? In a week, in 4 days. So that's pretty cool.
That's cool. Hey, why is Great Campaigns getting so much play all of a sudden? Or maybe it's not all of a sudden, but I just keep hearing about it. Like the last 2 conventions, it's just been like exploding.
Oh, really? Well, I don't know, but I think obviously they have a new P500 out. that. And I think they've finally decided on some artwork they like for the counters. So I think everyone likes the artwork. I don't know, but they've changed the artwork 1,100 times in the 20 years it's been out or whatever. So I don't know what's going on with that, but it's beautiful. The basic game is 16, 18 pages, and then you add in the advanced rules as you need it, and all the scenarios kind of work and stuff. I think it's it's getting popular from that perspective, maybe.
Well, how does it compare to like Line of Battle, man?
Well, that's tactical, right? So Line of Battle is tactical, 250 meters a hex, and this is kilometers per hex.
Oh, okay.
And day or multiple days per hex, per turn. I think I'd have to go back and look. So you can play a 1-turn scenario, and it can take 2 hours, right? Because you keep going until you run into the fatigue wall and can't do any more. So it's an interesting system. It's got a pretty cool combat system. It's got a cool command system. It replicates that operational scale. So you put all the maps together, it's the eastern corridor of America. Like, okay, 4 kilometers or 5 kilometers a hex or whatever it is.
I like 18 pages of rules. That sounds nice.
Right. So it's not your tactical, go-to specs. So it's cores and divisions and stuff like that. But it's all represented by strength points.
Okay. Do you have a favorite Civil War system, Kev? Or?
Dude, I'm a neophyte, right? I've had maybe what? I've played some of Herman Luttman's stuff. 10 turns of that. I've played Great Campaigns a couple of times. But I would love to learn more about that tactical system because it's in that sweet spot between Napoleonic, which is pseudo-classical, right? Like ancients. There's really not a whole lot of difference between ancient warfare and Napoleonics until Napoleon came along and did that whole core thing with cavalry, combined arms, right? A corps could fight by itself for a day or 2 days or however long it fights by itself for. And then I guess the American Civil War, then there's railroads and telegraph and longer range weapons and more deadly weapons and better cannons, and shit started to spread out and it got very operational, right? It got, I'm going to run up this railroad or ferry down this river, and that is super different from any period of time, but I just don't understand that.
Yeah.
I haven't dug into it. I've kind of avoided the tactical. Hello, there I am. I avoided the tactical things because I don't know that I get it. It doesn't grok for me, right? But the operational stuff I'm super curious about, which is why I've got all of the Great Campaign stuff, but I have not played very much of it because I'm a chicken.
I'm Civil War curious. The only one I've got is Stonewall Sword.
Right. So you should pull it out and play it, read the rules, and whack around a little scenario and try it. It's really cool.
Yeah. There's something cool about that. It's a blind sword system. Seems kind of cool.
And so the blind swords thing is tactical, and that's interesting because it's different from all the other tactical stuff. Yeah.
I like it. So there's some interest, and here in Missouri, we've got some battlefields like relatively close. So
right.
So anyway, and I think in the part of it that the troops are fairly close as far as quality. Well, I don't know if quality is the right word, but
morale.
I don't know. It's not like, I don't know. It seems like Napoleonics, you got so much different going on there, and I don't know.
Well, so many factions too, right?
Yeah, right. But I really don't know much about Civil War history, which is kind of a shame, but I don't.
So quick funny story. My son was, I had a set of rules on the coffee table, and my son was up and I was looking at him. And I had literally not read one page of them yet. I'd only read the designer's notes and had just interviewed the designer because it's a brand new Napoleonic system. And he's like, Dad, do you understand the difference between the 1806 Austrian armies and the 18 whatever Austrian armies? And I went, probably this. And I thought he was serious because he had the rules in his hand. He was just pulling my leg, right? He made up some shit, but that's the extent of the wargaming in the Sharp household with anybody else besides me.
Yeah. Just real quick, very important note. If you notice the aesthetics of this, we all get shorter as we go down the line. Kev, OG, and me.
It's all camera perspective, I think.
Camera perspective. It's okay, buddy. I know, Todd. I know that you're a lot. I know that you're a lot taller than I am.
Oh man, I'm a tall dude. Just curious. Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. It seems like I've just been hearing about it like that, and then Winter Offensive. I mean, I know that's an MP thing, but it just seemed like there's a lot of pictures of great campaigns. So I was just like, dang, is it just a lot of interest? And I think there's a little bit in the guild and stuff, but
yeah, for sure. I was just wondering because I've never done a live broadcast. I'm pushing this out to YouTube, but that comes after the fact. It's not live, is it?
No, it's live right now.
Oh, it's live right now. You're
watching
streaming. Right, yeah, you're streaming to YouTube. In fact, we've got 6 people watching right now.
And they'll be commenting on there too, Kev. But you should be able to see comments.
I haven't got the page up, so whatever. I didn't really do it so everyone could chime in. I just
actually you have PDO Gone 1. Really enjoy the GACAW and the similar Lee versus Grand and Patchwork picture says you are live.
Oh, there you go. Okay, well look at me. Well, I'll pull up a page and mute that page, and I'll check out the comments.
So you can see the comments on your live comments. Kev, go onto the right hand side there beside me, and there's a private chat and live comments. You hit live comments. You don't have to get the YouTube started. You can just
there they are. Look at that bad action. All right.
And then the cool thing is, Kev, if you really want to, if someone says something good, you can just click on it.
All right, pop it up, right?
And pop it up there. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, there you go. Well, welcome, whoever you are. All right. So
we actually just got another question, and I'm going to point this out because, well, it references to me. Custer61 says, I know OG has done some designing. Have you other two ever designed a game?
No. Yeah. Have you designed a game? Damn it.
Nope. But I love. No, I've not designed a game. I've thought about doing scenarios. Devin knows. I fall through. I have no consistency. No. Yeah. I've designed one war game scenario for miniatures. Well, I guess I've designed a couple, but that would be as far as I would ever get is designing scenarios.
Right.
I'm not going to design.
No, absolutely not. I have lots of ideas, but they're all overblown and full of BS. And I have partially designed a MBT. Could be fading in and out. That's my brain actually exuding energy.
That's bourbon talking.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. An MBT scenario, like a real world scenario. So I've half designed that, and I have 3 scenarios for lock and load tacticals.
Heroes against the Red Star.
No.
You did work in that.
Well, yeah, but I did. I'm doing. It was a bulge thing actually. I had 3 scenarios for the bulge. Funnily enough, that I haven't released. So,
what? When are you coming out with those?
Because time is a thing, and I would actually have to. Here's how I would do it. I would design them and release them, and I wouldn't play them, and I would just get some feedback and see how they work. So, yeah, because I want it to be kind of real. And real doesn't work in games. So there's that.
We're getting all kinds of comments.
Wow, getting a whole bunch of people hopping in now.
Chris Arnold, Patchwork Pictures, House Ruling the Hell. Of course, let's do that. I'm a fight. And Kyle.
What's up, Kyle?
Mr. Never Been to Europe. He pops in for a lot of these chats. See him around all over the place.
Chris Arnold, local miniature gamer there.
Yeah.
He's also into World at War 85. He's all excited about that. So he and I are going to get a big game together here sometime in the next few months.
Oh, that's why he's local to you. That's cool.
Yeah, he's about an hour north.
That's awesome.
And house rule, I house rule some miniature rules, but I don't like house ruling board game rules.
Yeah, I like to play as is. What about you, Devin?
I like playing as is, but sometimes you gotta house rule stuff because stuff just really doesn't make too much sense. Sometimes it's poor rule writing, sometimes it's poor rule interpretation, but I try to play the game as written. We all know that doesn't always go real well. So like with you, Kevin, I know you like to house rule that in World of War 85, the missiles don't affect when they're fired into obscuring terrain.
Oh no,
terrain.
I play that rule.
You have.
I have joined the dark side. I've joined the Keith Traxton side, and I now accept that as being accurate. I was a little pissed off at how hard it was to kill T-80s.
Oh God, yeah.
T-81's mother. Fricker. There's only one platoon of them, and that's only because I asked for them. Or I complained to Keith. So,
of the A1s? No, there's a full company of A1s.
A full company, sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a company, but that's it, right? It's not like everyone has A1s. And everyone should have A1s. And everyone should have their own A1.
Everyone should get to drive an A1 at least once in their life. That's all I'm saying.
How awesome would that be?
That would be.
Camera.
I want to fly with someone in an A10. That'd be my dream.
Oh, how cool would that be?
There's a few 2-seaters out there. If I could just get in one, that'd be awesome.
That's cool. Let me see here. Well, so okay, who's playing what? I mean, Devin, so hang on, Devin. You were very quiet because everyone knows that we haven't done anything.
You and I, it's been a few years since you and I have done anything.
But yes, so we haven't played in a while. But you design. You do lots of scenarios.
It's kind of in I don't know what the word I'm looking for. I know what it is, but I can't vocalize it. I'm a designer, but I'm not really a designer. I design scenarios. I really don't design the game rules that go along with them. It's like, hey, ASL. I design stuff for ASL. Advanced Work System. I've designed stuff for that. I've designed stuff for. Give me an existing system, and I'll make scenarios for you all day long. The actual games, I've got ideas, but nothing's ever gotten beyond the conceptual and maybe a little bit of play testing stage. Right. So, I mean, I am a designer, but it's disingenuous to call me a game designer because I just design scenarios. I don't design games. Right. So, but that's that. And anyways, what I got on the table, I got 6th Fleet on the table, baby.
That's right, you do.
I do.
That's cool. I've only played 2nd Fleet and only played a couple of scenarios, and I enjoyed it. But then someone said, well, they really didn't understand the capabilities, and it's all just bullshit. And I went, oh, that makes me sad. And I didn't play it. I think I sold all my modules.
Oh, painful.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? I mean, I've never heard anything. I mean, I've heard about it, but have you heard those complaints? I mean,
yeah, I've heard those complaints, and someone who actually has served on some of the ships that are in the game, I think it does a pretty good job. There were a lot of problems with the Soviet Navy in the 80s, and I think the game probably overestimates their actual capability. But at the end of the day, the game was designed around those unit stats, and so the scenarios work.
Right.
And that's really all I'm looking for.
It's the gameplay, right?
Yeah, it's the gameplay. I mean, the gameplay works.
Right.
I mean, there's a few things in it that just kind of all right. That doesn't. It's not really how that works in real life, but it works inside the boundaries of the game. And honestly, to make it more realistic, you'd have to go like Harpoon or friggin' ASL in the water, and I don't want that.
Well, so a buddy of mine who he wanted to play that game with me, and I forget which module. He goes, "Oh, I want to play with you. I want to play campaign because it'll be over in 3 turns." And I went, "Oh, why would it be over in 3 turns?" And he goes, "Well, see, there's a trick, right, in the campaign. You don't attack the ships. You attack the refueling doohickey, shippy tanker thingies, and kill them and Once you're out of missiles and out of fuel, you're done. Game over. And so I was like, so you want to play with this with me after telling me that? For what reason? So I can kill you. I was like,
yeah, that's not really breaking the system. It's kind of how it works in real life. But
how do you fix that? How do you fix that in that game, though? Right? Because you can just
what we would do in real life. You can refuel at ports.
Right. Okay, but
you reduce your combat capability some. But hey, if both sides are knocking out both sides' combat supply ships, which they are kind of number one targets right after carriers, then yeah, both sides are going to have to pull back and retreat back to their bases. So in a modern day conflict, if you're not protecting your supply ships, you're going to be having spurts where your fleet's out for about a week, but then it's got to pull back to rearm and restock and resupply. Now, if both sides are doing it, well, that's not that big of a deal. But if you cannot manage to knock out the opponent's resupply ships faster than they're knocking out yours, that gives you a huge battlefield advantage, because that, again, just like ground warfare, you're able to extend your time on the battlefield, exerting your presence and exerting your pressure, and that gives you the advantage. So going after supply ships, yeah, that's a common tactic. I mean, going after troop transports also.
Sure.
I was on a troop transport. I knew we were big targets. It's like the LSTs, landing ship tanks. They were nicknamed landing ship targets. You go after the troop transports. You go after the ability for the opponent to exert their influence, especially when it comes to like amphibious. That's one of the reasons why I was never worried about the Soviets launching a large amphibious assault, because back in the 80s, I mean, they had two big troop transports that could carry a battalion of Marines, and really you're going to need more than 2 battalions of Marines. And they had a lot of other smaller ships that could do like a company or reinforced company.
Right.
At the time, the U.S. were running, I think we had 15 ships that could put a battalion of Marines onto the beach. And that was just the LPD classes, not even into the LSTs that could have put a company of tanks on the beach, or the LPHs, landing platform helicopters. I mean, we had compared to the Russians, a massive amphibious capability. Plus,
Russian guys.
Well, and plus the Russians also lacked a lot of deep water refueling and resupply ships. We mastered it. We when our battle groups would go out and our task forces would go out, we could go out literally for months without ever having to come back into port, just because we got underway replenishment down to an art, and we've got really good resupply ships.
I wonder if we've lost that.
Really have that.
Do you think I'm curious.
I don't think we've lost it.
So someone's just going to pull out a freaking menu and go, oh, wait, look, I found it from the 80s. Here it is. Hang on. Page 497. Hell, you shouldn't have put them things on first.
I don't.
Canal, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, really, I'll be honest. I don't know why we had so many troop transports, because at the time, it's like, who were we going to land them against? I mean, if we got into a conventional war with Russia, all right, yeah, we'd be using them to ferry troops over, reforger style, to get troops into Western Europe. But up into the 80s, I just didn't see us being in a situation where we were going to be going island hopping through the Pacific. Or it's like China, there's no way. We take every single troop transport we have. We're not going to put enough troops onto the beach in China. So, and again, Russia, it's like, we're already right there. There's a very large land base called Western Europe NATO. So I don't know why we had so many troop transports, but we had a bunch of them.
The only veteran here is this guy in the middle, I think.
Yeah.
I served a year in Air Force ROTC at KU, so I'm pretty much there with you.
Oh, don't make me hurt you.
Oh, reach to that screen.
So my father, I don't know whether he knew before I did about how poor a student I was, or whether he just wanted to get me off the payroll, but he tried to get me to apply to what you would call over here officers candidate school.
Yes.
At a college in Melbourne called Duntroon. And I looked at him, and I was playing war games since I was 12, right? So by now I'm like 16, 17. And he goes, yeah, you could get in there and they pay for your education, you do all this stuff. And I said, but hang on a second. I wouldn't live here for free, right? And have my car and be able to like do whatever the fuck I want, right? And he's like, no, but you get some discipline and blah, 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 all this stuff. And you be an officer and you make money. I'm like, nah, I think I'll just go to college. I'll be fine. So that's as close as I got to military service, which is nice. So, well, that was a funny fucking story. Okay, sorry about that.
That was a great story. I think we all have stories like that. My dad was enlisted during the Vietnam era, and when I started showing an interest, he definitely wanted me to go the college route as well. But I never listened to him. So of course I don't think I'm smart enough to have gotten into a decent college. So
well, I think my dad just wanted to get me out of the freaking house.
Yeah, there's always a bit of that as well.
So, Todd, you really have adopted this robe as a thing now. This is the thing for you.
The robe is, yeah.
Or do you keep it, like, is it in the room and it just kind of hangs on a hook and then you put it on, or for occasions, or is it all the time?
Well, if I could get serious a minute, boys, I think that's all that's on this channel. Watching us. We have a lot of viewers, 21, 22 people.
Damn, very nice.
Luminaries in the wargaming world are watching us. Actually, this is, so my father passed away in November, and we got some of, went to my stepmom's and got some of his clothes. He had this robe that he had, and it's from England, and it is like super sweet. So I was like, man, this thing is awesome. So, man, I'm wearing it, and I had it on video one time, and people love it. So now it's becoming my shtick. And I pretty much only wear it when I'm on videos.
Callendale's got his pipe. You've got your robe. Everybody's got a
pipe. And my wife will stay married to me.
That's very cool.
And she loves the feel of it.
Well, there's side benefits to all these things, right?
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know.
Now, what your dad? Where did your dad serve? Because you sent me a badge, and I'm struggling. I've got it up on my cork board still. That you sent me.
Okay, so that was from my grandfather.
Grandfather, right?
Yeah. So my dad was in the Navy and served in. He served in Nam, but he pretty much, his main thing was delivering beer and cigarettes. He worked on a supply ship, flat bottom supply ship, drove the big old huge forklift. He got a big old scar on his arm. I can't see. Oh, it's over here. Scar on his arm. I said, man, where'd you get that scar? He goes, in the big battle in the Philippine bar. It turns out it wasn't a bar. Turns out he was going to exchange money in the Philippines. He thought they were ripping him off and lying to him. So we started yelling at him, and the person behind the thing called a couple of his buddies and threw my dad out the window.
Wow, that's real.
That's his big war scar, and his big fighting in Nam was shooting a pistol into the river or out into the shore somewhere. But
so he didn't hurt anybody.
Just himself arguing with the money exchanger. But he went into the Navy because he did not do well in school, but he could have. Like, he was a very intelligent guy, but he might have had, ADD or something, and he just didn't want to. So he goes, I'm going to join the Navy because then I can get out of I don't have to go to college. I don't have to go to school. As soon as he got there, he tested. They're like, dude, you should go to nuclear school. So he started going to nuclear school, and he failed out of it because he didn't study. Anyway, so that's his story. So, but then my grandfather was in the 12th Armored Division, and that's that patch.
12th Armored. Sorry, I was thinking 3rd for some reason. So, okay.
Yep.
I appreciate you sending me that badge.
Oh yeah.
Well, Todd.
Yes, sir.
Playing. You just did some lock and load. You're doing.
I just uploaded a lock and load foy battle.
Best only bulgy things, right?
What's that? Yeah, right after bulge. Yep.
Right.
I have a. Pardon me. Hold on, everybody.
Oh no! He's moving the camera.
So I got the little battle set up for Battleground. I'm sorry, Battle Group. miniature game. I played this once, and I'm waiting to get on. I got a couple guys I'm talking with who have started the Facebook group for Battle Group, and I'm going to get them on because they know the game better than I do, and just talk through them about some of the tactics, and also kind of learn. It'll help me learn the rules and other people who watch.
What's the scale?
So the Battle Group's interesting. First of all, you can play it. The people who designed it play it in 1/72nd scale, but you can use 1/72nd, 15 mil. You could use 6 if you wanted to.
I'm sorry, wrong question. What is the military scale of the formations?
So each figure is one man. Each tank is a tank.
Okay, so
and the smallest you could play would be platoon. So a platoon against a platoon would be really as small as you'd want to get. And you can play up to a battalion against a battalion. That's an interesting thing about the rules. You can scale it.
Wait, hang on. So one guy is one guy, and you're gonna put how many? How big is the table going to be for that?
Oh, you'd probably have to do a 6x8 or 10x12 or something. If you wanted to play that big. I'm not going to play this game more bigger than a couple platoons each side. I'm using it kind of for so there's few rule sets that kind of go in that scale. There's bolt action, which you may have heard of. That's by Warlord Games. That's kind of
hate it. Yeah.
That's the most common, very simple system, and it's for tournament play. There's Chain of Command, which is by a company called Two Fat Lardies. Yep. And it's become really popular, and it's really put them. I mean, they've been on the map a long time to really put them on the map. People really like that game. It's got a lot more nuance, and you'd probably enjoy that more. It's got some really neat activation systems, and the way you approach battle is really cool. Right. Battle Group for me is one. I can solo this easier than Chain of Command. And so here's Chain of Command. So bolt action is, very simple, and you can play it. It's a points base, so it's like 100,000 points against 1,000 points or whatever.
Right.
Battle Group is a little bit more tactical and realistic, But Chain of Command is very cool, and I call it a brain burner because you do have to think through your tactics more. And what's kind of cool with that is what they call the patrol phase. So at the very beginning, each of you have like 4 markers that you start out. It depends on the scenario you're playing, but just essentially you start at your end of the board. I start at my end of the board. And if I win initiative, I get to move my first. They're all like stacked up on top of each other, for example, in one scenario, right? I get to move my one counter 12 up to 12 inches away, and then you get to move a counter 12 inches away. And we kind of move towards each other using these markers. And then once each of everything is within, I don't remember how far away, let's say 12 inches. That might be too close. But once, Chris Arnold really likes Chain of Command. I've actually lost to him playing Chain of Command. So thanks, Chris, for bringing up memories. I let him win. Just kidding. But once you get once you get a certain distance away from each other, you lock down your things. You lock those down, and then you put your jump off points a little further back, like 18 inches back. The size doesn't matter. But what it does is it kind of speeds up that point of contact. So instead of you moving your troops, you're kind of doing it quicker, and it simulates your scouts out there patrolling each other for this, kind of that moment of land.
Okay, but two battalions. That's going to be.
Yeah, that's a different game. That's pretty much platoon.
Platoons, but how does the command and control system scale from a platoon each to a battalion each?
So that game,
that's hundreds of pieces and thousands of pieces.
Yeah, not very many people play that size of game. But so how that works? So how Battle Group works is, so at this platoon versus platoon, you for each. Let's see, how do I want to say this? So at that size, you get to roll 1d6. On my turn, I get to roll 1d6, and that's how many commands I get. So obviously, there's going to be 1 to 6. Now, I do have a couple commanders, so each commander adds 1 to that automatically.
Sure, got it.
You're going to at least get 3.
Yep. Or
whatever. But if that commander dies, you're out of luck. So, and then what happens is on I'm going to make sure I'm getting this right. on my turn, I just use those commands to command each team or each squad. I'm sorry, each squad. There could be a machine gun team or something, but so each tank. So if I have 3 things, I command this tank to do this, and it can do 2 things. So it can move and shoot, move twice, shoot twice.
Sure.
I think it would be crazy to play at the battalion scale. I'm just not going to do that. So for my larger.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to get at. So I was curious about the battalion scale. It's not a battalion scale system. It can be played at battalion scale.
Yes.
But I was curious. I was thinking, I always thought battle group was platoons of you, like one unit or one stand was X number of, was a platoon or a squad or whatever the case may be. And that you would put multiple stands on to build a battalion, and each tank was a squadron or a platoon. But that's not that. So there must be other systems, or I'm thinking of something else. But
yeah.
What does a modern battle look like with minis? That'd be pretty freaking cool.
Yeah. So they're coming out with a modern version of it, and that they're actually going to play at 10 mil, because that makes a little bit more sense. But so you can. The cool thing about battle group is I don't actually play 1-to-1. So I have a stand equals a squad.
Okay.
And then you just track. I'm trying to think here. You just track the casualties on it.
Right.
So you can play it like that, and but since I'm playing such small games, I can play 1-on-1 too, and it's not too bad.
Yeah. Okay, no, that's cool. I got that. That's awesome.
So Kev, if I want to play like a battalion versus battalion, that's when I go to my Blitzkrieg Commander game I like so much.
Oh, okay.
And that's where each stand is a platoon.
Okay.
And so that's, I can have 3 guys on a stand, and then I just have to track casualties right next to it with a little counter.
Right. Interesting.
I don't think you would like Blitzkrieg Commander.
Okay.
I'm just gonna tell you.
Too simple or too abstract or too detailed?
It's probably a little too simple.
Well, I don't mind simple if it works. I mean, so I didn't like bolt action because you have an MG. I'm trying to keep my hand in the frame. You have an MG, and then you had 19 guys shooting rifles, bolt action, and they threw more dice to hit than the machine gun. Machine gun fires 500 rounds a minute or whatever, or 1,000 rounds a minute. 19 guys are firing 19 rounds a second, every 2 seconds. Do some friggin' math, and it didn't work. And there's no range that makes any sense and all that. So we had a buddy who painted up all these beautiful minis with the Japanese and the Australians. He's like, "Oh, you got to play. It's going to be Australians versus Japanese. It's going to be awesome." And I was like, "Oh, okay, it's going to be great." And so we get there and we play, and me and some other guy, Pete, I think it was, and Charles is the guy that painted all the minis. He painted them in Afghanistan when he was on the FOB. Just nothing to do, right? So he stayed on base the whole time, pretty much. And so he painted a bunch of minis up. We played, and we all went, "Yeah, this is freaking crap." Now, the command system was kind of cool because you put like tokens down. Or
the dice. You pull a dice out.
Dice down in sequence, and which one goes first. And so there's some randomness about that. But anyway.
Yeah, the thing I like about bolt action is that you can pretty much get the rules and just play it. You know.
Yeah. So which is what we did, right? I turned up. What do I do? Move guys and shoot. Right. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
I really want to. I freaking hate this game. I really want to play a skirmish game that feels right. That has the right mix of technical detail but fun with minis. Like when I say skirmish, I mean like man on man. So I want to take a special forces team versus a couple of squads of bad guys, whatever they are. They could be Spetsnaz, or they could be drug lords, or they could be Afghanis, or whoever the bad guys happen to be, vice versa, right? I'm looking for the right set of rules for that. And I've got some buddies who play a lot of minis, and they're still trying to find a system that they like. I've played a couple of things. We did Spectre. We played Spectre.
Yeah, some people like Spectre Ops or whatever. Spectre.
I think then there's a new system coming out for that, and then there was something else I played. I don't know. And then I think I want to play Ancients battles, like huge Ancients battles. But I have no minis, so I have no terrain, and I don't have the time to paint anything. So,
well, the cool thing about Ancients is you don't need a lot of terrain.
Right, because everything was done on a open field plus one hill, right? So,
yeah. Put a hill and a tree here, and you're good.
So,
yeah. So Chris really likes. Depends on the kind of level you want in that kind of game. Like a couple. So like you're like almost wanting a couple squads or 2 or 3 squads against each other. So maybe no bigger than a platoon. The Fistful of Lead. Chris loves that. The cool thing about Fistful of Lead is that it's a very generic set, and so the guy who came out, it seems like a really cool guy running it too, or who runs the company. He it's kind of generic set of rules, but then he's kind of made like a Western set, and you can play World War II with it or modern and stuff. It may not be as I think you can make it as detailed as you want. It's not going to be super crunchy, but you can make it what you want. That's kind of a cool thing about it. And so miniatures gamers do that anyway. And Kev, I know you've asked me that in the past. When I've said I just did this little rule thing, you're like, what the hell? How do you just throw this rule in and out? This is what miniature gamers do.
Yeah, well, I have a fundamental problem with minis rule books in that they're gorgeously formatted and lots of pictures, and it's 400 pages of rules or 200 pages or whatever the hell it is. And you got to get a guy like Gary Kroc over to strip all the bullshit out of it and build a help file and get all the tables and all the rules, and it's 7 pages of rules or something silly like that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems like it's so hard to know. Like, oh, it works with any scale. Oh, well, I'm a dumbass. I don't know where to start. So, like, I just every book I pick up, I go, yeah, this is bullshit. I'm not doing. There's so much work to get started.
Yeah.
With a hex and counter game, rulebook, counters, dice, let's go, right?
That's one of the reasons why I stopped playing miniature games, because I got out of Hex and Counter for the most part in the mid 90s because I figured Hex and Counter at the time was dead. Avalon Hill had just collapsed, S&T had gone the way of the dodo, and really the only company left was GMT, and I just didn't see a future in Hex and Counters. So I shifted over to miniatures. I stuck with miniatures for the longest time, but it just got to the point where it's like, I don't want to paint. I don't want to try to collect any more armies. I just want to sit down and throw dice. Back to Hex and Counter it is then. So,
yeah.
Mr. Never Been to Europe asked a question for me. What size were the miniatures they were playing? World of War 85 post on Facebook. He's talking about the Contact Atlanta, the marvelous board that Mark Faircloth put together. Those were, I'm pretty sure those were GHQ tanks he was using, and I'm pretty sure the aircraft was 3mm Pico armor.
Is that
the aircraft
285 or 1-300?
285.
Boom! Look at that. Damn.
Oh, Kev.
I got this shit down, bro. I got this shit down. The only reason I know that is because I played Panzer with 1-300s. And I was like, oh, I could do this. And then I was thinking, well, MBT would be better, right? Because then I could use it with World of War. So I think, oh, that's really cool. And so I started doing some quick math on how much I had to buy. And I went, no.
the problem with 285 being GHQ is you're paying for the name. Now, don't get me wrong, they're good minis, but
7 cents a piece. I need four. Hang on, where's my hand? Everything's reversed. My other camera's on this stupid thing, and it's picked the wrong one.
I'll hold my fingers up for you. I got it.
Yeah, 4. I need 4 tanks per squadron/platoon. Stop. And then you got BMPs, and then you got every type of tank, and then you got squadrons. Next thing you know, you need, I don't know, just in case, you need like 100 bits.
Yeah.
At least.
Yep.
That's $960 before you even get excited about doing something fun.
You're flipping Kev Sharp. Come on.
No, I'm friggin' Kev broke is what I am. So,
yeah, he's got a couple kids in college. Come on.
All right. I'm sorry.
One in college, one about to be in college. and one that's still in some school that actually asks me for money every month. So
Yeah.
that happened. I thought education was taken care of with my property taxes. So
yeah, we got a lot of good comments here. I see Kate Tracton's on.
Yep, Keith is slid in. Got to give shout outs to Keith. Yeah, Pico armor. I've actually painted Pico armor for a guy before, and they're at 3 millimeters, so they're itty little tiny, which means they're really easy to paint. But that's a little bit more financially viable if you go the 3 mil route. But
so
just
it's 1-300.
Yeah, no, it's 3 millimeters.
3 millimeters. So each guy's 3 millimeters tall, so it's going to be 1/600. I don't know if that's right. But.
Tiny.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Well, let's put it this way: at 3 millimeter scale, I could get 3 tanks on a 1-inch counter. So, and they're real easy to paint up because there's no detail to them. You just prime them and base coat them, and then maybe a slight dry brush on top of them, and then just
that black wash shit on and stuff, right?
Yep. Well, you can't. Well, at 3 millimeter, you really don't have to.
Here's my first model.
Good.
Well, there it is. Yeah.
That looks good.
Yeah.
3 millimeter would be way easier than that thing.
Way easier than that motherfucker. Yeah. Oh, here it is. Pico's 1/600. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're supposed to be talking about war games, not freaking.
We're talking about war games.
Over the freaking conversation. What the hell?
You're the one that set this without any itinerary.
Oh no!
Okay, so I can reveal something that's going to make Devin probably roll.
You're in the robe. Watch what you're revealing, mister.
Oh, really?
Are you guys ready?
Nothing.
You got pants on. Oh, what have you got to reveal?
Well, first of all, let me. So I just bought Hatton and Flames, the ASL.
Oh,
I'm interested in Nordwind because that's a battle that the 12th Armored fought in. Now they didn't fight in Hatton; they were south, but it's still kind of an interesting, different battle that you never hear about. You hear a little bit more about it now because Hatton and Flames and stuff. But I bought it, and I'm not. My first way I'm going to play it is I'm putting lock and load. I'm going to use lock and load rules for it, and the hexes are bigger.
Yes,
because it's a historical map. And I have it up. I wish I could do this upstairs, but I got to be hardwired in here, but to make this smooth, silky picture. But anyway, I've just been sorting it out, but I'm trying to do as well as I can to kind of one for one. It's gonna be a little challenging because in ASL you got many different levels of units. But
yeah, that's the one thing in lock and load. I think the Germans have like not 2, maybe 3 different levels of infantry, whereas in ASL there's like 12.
Yeah. So I'm just doing my best to kind of do it, but I'm excited about it, and the tanks fit perfectly into the hexes. So it's a little small, but it's cool. It'll work. So that's the first thing. But I also did buy the couple things to play it in ASL too.
What? You're not going to play it using ATS rules?
Man,
conversion's real easy, dude.
I need someone that's in this chat to buy that company, and maybe I would play it. But we've talked about that a million times. We don't need to talk about that company. So
yeah, we don't need to talk about that company.
I feel a little sheepish about doing that, but I've decided to approach. There's some people that play ASL a little bit more loose, and I need to join that group. That philosophy.
Yeah.
Why don't you just rewrite the rules and didn't some guys do the retro system? And
I didn't like that.
Didn't like it. Yeah,
I had it.
That's right.
I tried it many times. It's cool. It's fine, but it's so. I'm just like,
Our buddy AJ Toynbee loves the retro rule set, from what I understand.
It's really cool. I mean, it does do a lot of things. It's really awesome. But I just was like, why? I just felt kind of like, I don't know. I just pshaw.
Well, Kev, you saw my old ASL group up at Game On, so you kind of got an idea of the type of group that. Yeah, out of all those guys up there, there's maybe 1 or 2 that will play something other than ASL. I mean, for them, it's all lifestyle. I can't do. I don't want to do that.
And the nice guys and all that, but I mean,
they're great guys. Yeah,
in their heads going like this and looking at rules, trying to win the competition, and we had the difference between them and the lock and load tournament. And the first year that we ran the lock and load tournament, it was right next to the ASL guys, And the very next year, the ASL guys were in their own room because they didn't want us going, yes, bitches, right? Because we were having fun.
That's hilarious.
Being in a tournament.
Different. I got a question. So Kev, why aren't there? Because I know there was that lock and load tournament many years ago. And why don't we see more of those? Especially now that he's got to kind of reboot it up. I wonder what. I mean,
someone needs to own it, right? I mean, I helped. The only reason the very first time I went to lock the game on was because they wanted some sap to run the lock and load tournament, and that was me, right? So.
Somebody needs to run one. I mean, in ASL, it's always just some local guy running it. I mean, it's not MMP doing it. It's just some, like here in St. Louis is Jim Burris. He's just does it, and he's been doing it for 15, 20 years. And
I don't think it has the user base. I mean, for all that there are a lot of people who like lock and load and a lot of people who play it, I would imagine, I'm guessing, pulling the number at my backside, I bet there's 10x the number of ASL players. So any place you want to run a 20, you can get 8, 10, 12, 20 people to turn up, or 12, 10 people. I don't know. In Texas, there's a bunch of ASL players.
Yeah.
I could probably get 4 people to turn up to play lock and load.
Yeah, I have no idea in St. Louis, but that's probably about right. I could probably get 4 or 5.
Yeah. So I just, and the company's got to own that, right? So it's like with minis, the whole, what was that very first Star Wars thing that came out where people built the custom trenches and you
Legion,
whatever it is, whatever the very first Star Wars minis game, they got guys to come go hang out in game stores and run tournaments, and they gave away prizes and games, and that's how I think they got a lot of people to play. But that's an expensive thing, and it takes a lot of time, and you got to get a fan to do that work. And a buddy of mine did that with Saga. He did it with that Star Wars thing, whatever it was, with the TIE fighters and all that BS, and a bunch of stuff like that. So it takes the company's commitment and a fan base to do it. So Lock and Load could do it, but they've got so much else going on. World of War could do it. I mean, we've got, 1,200 copies being shipped worldwide? There's got to be
more than that.
Well, yeah, it's like, I think it's more than that. Yeah, it's way more. It's like 1,800 or whatever it is. I don't know. But the cool thing is that there's a lot of people playing. We have Vassal. Once the Vassal module comes out shortly, like this weekend, maybe next week, whatever, right? Nobody knows. Maybe I spoke to David today, and he let that drop. But
I did speak to David today,
and so did I. And he said,
"There you go."
That's cool.
He said tomorrow, but we'll see. So my point, so do a Vassal tournament.
Yeah.
Why not, right?
And maybe that's what needs to happen first. And I think David would support somebody. Like if I said, hey, I want to do something in St. Louis or do a Vestal, I think David would support it, right? Just with like
exactly
a little price support or something. I'm guessing he seems like he would do that. So yeah, but I don't see them spending. I mean, it takes a lot of time. I mean, yeah, it takes a lot of time and energy.
Well, especially if you're doing it at cons, and David has made the decision not to go to a lot of cons because there's not that much profit back at the end of the day, and just leave it at that, because you have got to get a decent sized booth at any decent sized con. You're dumping thousands of dollars, and you're not usually going to make that back. I mean, it's good for PR, but David's got some pretty good PR on the web right now, and he's expanding it. Right. You know, so.
Well, it makes perfect sense. I mean, it's brand awareness. In some ways, there are some cons you got to be at, but unless you're selling a buttload of stuff, and you've got to, I think you have to sell it at a discount, right? You got to. Yeah. If I'm going to the con,
I'm expecting that I'm going to get good deals at a con. It's one of the reasons why I go to a con.
Right. I want 30 points off. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because I got to put it in my bag and lug it back. I know I save shipping and all the rest of it, but I'm not expecting to buy a whole bunch. Well, maybe I am. I'm bringing the second bag because I'm that guy. But, I came to Game On with room to bring games home, and I bought a couple of things, but not a lot. I always find something I don't need that I buy. But anyway, that's another thing. I bought Ranger of all things, right? Omega Games, Ranger. You guys know that?
Oh, I that's one of the multitude of games I lost after I got out of the service, and straight through the heart every time I think about that. I enjoyed Ranger.
Yeah,
I love the hell out of Ranger.
Yeah, so I'm excited about it. And here's the cool thing about that: it's just set in kind of like swamp terrain and stuff like that. I could see how there's a lot of work that has to go into building those modules, but I could see how someone took the time and effort. That'd be a great reboot to kind of honor. I forget the gentleman's name that designed it, but
the good thing about Ranger is that as long as you're using the right scale map, you can use any topographical map you want.
Yeah,
and I think it's 285,000 scale. Right. As long as you're using that scale, you can use any map you want for anything, and that's right in the rule books. And I remember that's like, yes, I got to get some of these maps, and
right.
Yeah.
Well, once I goof around with it, maybe that'll head your way, then I'll send it up to you.
Oh, we'd appreciate that.
It is a pristine, clean edges. No, like it looks like it's been wrapped in silk for however long it's been in a box. On a shelf. It's really nice.
Definitely getting excited. So in St. Louis, Patchwork Pictures, there's a pretty good gaming community in St. Louis. I would say Wargame and tons of Eurogamers. It's why we were able to grow our convention the way we did. But there's a pretty good wargaming group. There's problem with St. Louis is it's pretty spread out. So you get kind of these little clusters of people who play in people's houses. But we have a board wargame group headed by Mitchell Land and Rich Trippier and some other people that get together monthly at Miniature Market. And then there's a bunch of guys that play in houses. There's OCS being played, lots of ASLers. So those are two big games, but there are a lot of people playing other games. I say a lot. It seems like a good community. And of course, there's a ton of Euro gamers. But I would say I'm pretty impressed with St. Louis's gaming community. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And the only thing is it's a little spread out. Like you could be 40, 50 miles away.
Oh my God.
Kind of a pain when you're, after work or something. So.
Yeah.
Custer, 100%, 99%.
99%. You've played 99% of all the games you own.
I've had a huge sell-off.
Wow.
Yeah.
Devin?
Probably about 80%. I'm poor. I don't get to buy a lot of games. So the games that I do buy, I play. So, but there's a few copies of stuff that I've picked up that I haven't been able to.
The camera's off. Yeah, I can't tell you. Sorry.
Oh, come on. Bull crap.
I've seen your library, Kevin. I know the percentage can't be that high.
What is it?
It's 45%.
Yeah, that makes.
I would say 50 is about average for most gamers.
Yeah, I'm on a little bit of a purge thing right now too, and there's some games I'm purging that I haven't played, so it'll change the percentage a little bit, but
dude, you need to turn the autofocus off. That's what's killing is that autofocus.
I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, I can't turn that stuff off on my camera. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's this stupid freaking Windows camera, and I've got the HP camera right next to it, but it won't find that one. So plus whiskey. So.
Plus whiskey, yeah.
49% and 80%. Damn, that's a lot. Okay, so.
Well, but like I'm not a collector. I mean, because I'm not going to play. I don't know. I'm kind of needing to get rid of stuff. Kind of just peace of mind. I don't know.
There are games I've played a few times that I want to keep, not for nostalgia reasons, but because I might want to come back to it. And then there are games that I've played once and I have some games that I bought and have no intention of playing for some stupid reason. So just bad choices after further homework and research and talking to people I like and care about that no, it's crap and don't waste your time. So I got 25 years of gaming left. Let's not waste it on bullshit. So I want to play the stuff I want to play. I want to play Case Blue Good Damage Blitzkrieg 2 set up one more time before I kick the bucket. So I got to make, there's 6 months. So now I'm down to, 19 and a half years.
So, Kev, you're so good about playing multiple games at one time. I'm not very good at that. That's why I'm usually playing. I have this nice big table, but I have a hard time going game to game. I kind of have to stick with a game, play it, move to the next one.
It doesn't bother me too much. In fact, I find it refreshing to be able to step away from a game and go, you know what? Yeah. I'm so in the well on this thing that I need a break, so I can walk over it. I've got Conflict of Heroes set up. I've got that 20044 set. 20044 set up, and the big Jaws of Victory thing, and 4 vassal games going. But for me, it's a refreshing to step away and go, oh, okay, I'm gonna do this for a minute. Now, nothing much has happened with Conflict of Heroes. It's the new version, because I'm struggling. First timer, I'm struggling with the rules and not having a lot of success. So
real quick, a couple guys that commented as far as like miniature games. So there's I'm probably with these guys. There's probably my percentage of miniature games is probably way lower, because I've kind of come to a point where, of course, some miniature rules, it's a lot cheaper to buy a miniature set than a board game, right? Like some miniature sets you can get for like $20 PDF.
Oh, the rules. Okay.
Yeah, just the rules. And I kind of came to a kind of a happy place where I'm like, I found myself buying them and they're like getting all frustrated because I wasn't playing. I'm like, that's okay, because it's kind of cool to read the rules, kind of understand like how people approach World War II differently or whatever.
Right.
And they're pretty fast reads. And then because you kind of house rule and kind of some games, you kind of can use some of the things like, oh, I learned this in Chain of Command. I might want to use it in Bolt Action or whatever you want to do.
That's interesting.
So that's kind of that's that. One of the realizations I came to with my gaming is that, so I was at a convention last year with Kev and some other people. It was a small group, 25 people or something. It's a really small, intimate group, if I may. I might have to wear my robe there next year. What do you think?
Do it.
Bring the beer load. Anywho, I have this real tendency to, so I was watching Clay and Tyler play Goss. First of all, everybody know Tyler and Clay are just cool guys. I mean, super nice. I went out to eat with them afterwards. Just kind of watch them play, because you kind of, when you're watching a bunch of people at a game convention, you kind of watch people play some of the time. And they're just cool guys, and they're having a great time playing it. And again, like Kev said, you're hooting and hollering and rolling dice and whatever. So as I watched, I'm like, man, this is pretty cool. I didn't play with them because I wasn't in it. I was kind of bouncing back and forth again. Man, I'm going to get that, man. That's cool, because I had that vibe of, I was with cool guys and it's a cool game. They're having fun. And so I want to be a part of that. So I got it, and I got that. I'm like, oh, come on, man. I bought 2 of them, and I ended up selling them off because I've kind of come to that conclusion. So like, I'm asking about great campaigns because I see all these guys that I respect and they're having a good time. And I have to really sit back and go like, am I really ever going to play that?
Right.
And if maybe, so, they're going to probably play at this gathering that we go to. They'll be playing it when I'm there. Maybe I just join them in that, and that's cool. And I do it with miniatures too. I'm not buying miniatures to certain eras.
For sure. That's really good point. And there are a lot of games I've played that I will never buy a copy. Right? I enjoy playing it, but I won't buy it. Angola from Multi-Man Publishing. I've played that 8 times. There's no other game I own. Oh, sorry. No other game I've played that I don't own that I've played 7 times. And that's a great game. But I just have no need to own a 4-player game. I have friends who own a 4-player games, 5-player games, whatever. So I totally agree with you on that. You get sucked in because you go, oh, these guys are having a great time, or I'm having a great time. I should go get that.
Yeah.
Stop.
I'm just trying to be very mindful of that, because it's just, I'm really trying to lessen the stuff I have. So, and the same thing has happened with miniature games and eras. Like I played with a group of guys here who had this amazing Civil War set. And I'm like, oh man, that was awesome. And Civil War is not too hard to paint. So I'm like, I might do that. And I really kind of got into started. I did buy a few miniatures, but I didn't buy too many, thank goodness. And then I realized, man, I just don't, the camaraderie and the hanging out was the best part of that. The social part.
Right, right. And you know, so Next War is another great example, right? So all the guys at that same con the year before played the Next War series, and they had
The whole thing set up.
Taiwan and Poland set up, or India, Pakistan, whatever it was, and they played, you know, 3 or 4 modules, and they had a great old time together.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And you're like, oh, I should go get all those. Well, yeah, I did, and I play them and I like them, but you don't need to have them if you're not interested in that space or that period or the level of detail in those rules, because it's really easy to play that system with Ralph when Ralph's there, because he knows the rules backwards and is the developer.
That's key.
Bingo. So I bought, because of my play at Game On last year, Time of Trumpets, you know, Bruno's final hurrah for game design. There is no way I'm going to get through that game by myself without him there regaling me with the tales of why, you know, this particular unit did what it did, because the guys were all in a wine cellar getting hammered the night before and didn't turn up for duty, and so got overrun and whatever, right? That type of thing.
Yeah.
Let alone the rules that go with all that. So anyway, good question here from Custer61.
Yeah, it is good.
Todd?
I would say, so one of the reasons I like games, even though I'm not very good at them and I don't do strategy well, as I've been told many times, is that it helps me learn. I enjoy learning more because of it. So like as a kid, I mean, I read books and stuff, but I would have got into it more and that's one cool thing about miniatures is you really have to learn the units more, because you're having to paint and build the units, whereas in board games it's a little bit more fed to you, so you don't really have to learn it as much. You can just go, oh, okay, boom, and go. But you know, with miniatures, I've been able to learn what a squad is, what a squad is, what is a platoon, and why do they structure them this way. But what's cool is I'm trying to, and you see this in a few guys in their battle reports, and I feel like they're doing that same thing with board games. So like Stu's ASL battle reports, and I'm trying to think of another one that does this, but they really dig into the history and then explain, kind of look at the battle, like this is why this happened, and kind of make those connections. So they work together to, like that Battle of Foy game I did.
Yeah.
So reading the book, watching the TV show, playing the battle, it just all brings it to life, and I kind of get into it more. And I'm a visual guy, and so
that was a great video, by the way.
Oh, thank you. What about you, OG? Apparently, you can't count your service time, so no thanks to that.
No, it doesn't count. For me, it is hard for me on any one given day to say, am I a historian or am I a gamer? The two, to me, are so intertwined and have been intertwined since the very beginning of my gaming days. I can't say, was I a gamer first or was I reading history first? The two are interlinked, and I don't see a difference between the two. Right. They both enhance each other. I can read a book to understand the overall strategic and operational flow of the battle, but then I will play the game and I will understand why the flow went that way, the way that it did. So I will probably say I learn more from history books, but I understand more from gaming. That's about the best way that I can put it. So.
Yeah. Agreed.
So eloquent.
What's that, Kev?
So eloquent.
Oh, I know. It's just that's why he's in the middle. That's why he's in the middle. It's a Devon sandwich.
The rose between the two thorns. I mean,
well, it's disgusting. Why are we even on? So, Kev, what about you?
Yeah, I think it's a blend, right? It's interesting. My classic example, most recent, is War on the Pacific. So I picked that stupid big monster up from Decision Games, right? And I played a little mini scenario, and I was reading the designer notes, and I was like, you know, I really don't know jack about this. I played War in the Pacific, The Pacific War by Mark Herman, and that didn't really get me juiced up to find out more. But now I've read all of Toll's books, all of Hornfisher's books. I've read Japanese dude's account of Iwo Jima. I've read the 400-page book on Guadalcanal. And now I look at that sort of reading and I go, let me think about the other games I've played in the past and how did they turn out and what was different, and it stimulates your thinking, I think, and it helps to bring the game to life for me in a lot of ways. I also read it because if I try and do anything from a narrative perspective, I want to use the right context and the right gun and the right plane, although not that often helps when I'm trying to write, but I wrote something about something and the guy goes, I think that's a torpedo bomber. I was like, fuck, well, what are you going to do, right? So, yeah, I think
I'll tell you what.
Some games.
Oh, sorry.
No, you.
Chris Arnold said, and then I'm going to add it to what Chris Arnold said, the game leads me to the book.
Yeah.
What's interesting for me is the book leads me to the game.
Yeah, there you go. Both ways, right?
I was listening to Normandy 44 by James Holland. Love the book. I mean, what an amazing book. I'm like, man, I gotta get a Normandy game on the table, you know?
Right. Don't you love it when that happens though? When you're like 3/4 of the way through a book, okay, put that book down. What have I got? What can I play that does this? And everything that's on the table out of this to one side.
Let me. So, have you guys, either one of you, since I'm more into miniature games, you guys either one have watched Little Wars TV?
A little bit, yeah, I like it.
Those guys are awesome. What they're doing. I mean, the bad thing about them is they make my videos look terrible. They're just up in the game, bastards. But they have a real.
Well, they've got professional production crews, and you're just
I don't want to hear
your robe.
I don't want to hear your excuses, Devin. Up your game. So I linked to their Battle of Foy game that they played using Chain of Command. If you want to see Chain of Command, Kev, they play the Battle of Foy using Chain of Command.
Right.
And they don't get into a lot of details about the game rules, but they do. And then they always follow up with a review of the rules, like another video. And what's cool is they got it's a nice structure to how they review rules, right? And they give it a measure of like 10% on presentation, 30% on historic accuracy, whatever. It's a nice weighting. So they have a nice system to judge them on. They seem like a pretty cool group of guys. I mean, but anyway, they really do a great job of, like, if they can, like Civil War, they went to the battlefield, but they visit with a historian, or they do a fantastic job of tying history, giving you some historical documentation, and then they publish all their scenarios too. You can go to their website and download them. It's pretty cool.
Right. Very cool. They do a great job.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, the Richard Atkinson books are good, and I like those.
That Pacific War, I mean, I had, growing up, obviously saw the Australian viewpoint, but
oh yeah,
what the Americans went through there was pretty horrendous and just audacious as well. Just some of the sort of fly by the seat of the pants, working out tactics, naval tactics on the fly was impressive. So Hornfisher and Toll really blew me away in terms of the narrative. Beautiful writing and fascinating writing about that whole era. It's fantastic.
Yeah, but I would say, I mean, in Australia, man, you guys were a little bit closer to the act. I mean, you guys could have been actually invaded. You know what I mean?
If you want to come and take Darwin, you go right ahead, right?
Yeah. Okay, fine. Here I come. I just think that's it. I have a hard time getting into the Pacific. I don't know why. I mean, I've tried, but I should look into the island hopping. Maybe that'd be a little bit more interesting to me. I love the ocean. I'm just reading some of the comments here. I think someone's talking about the Atkinson books. The Italy book is good, and it represents the battle in that the middle of the book is a slog. I don't mean it's bad writing. I just mean it's so just like, dang, man. Conservatism of the 30s rally. Scandal of American torpedoes. What's that about?
Oh, the early magnetic arming devices, or the torpedoes failed like 90% of the time, and it was a simple mechanical fix, and it took well into 42 before we were able to actually figure it out. So I mean, a submarine would go out, fire off all of its torpedoes, 3/4 of them had hit, but one might go off. So yeah, it was not a shining point in U.S. naval history.
The torpedo stuff.
Yeah,
problems, right?
Devin, do you play very many like operational level games?
No, not really. I have in the past. Tactical is where I'm most comfortable at. Really, the squad and platoon. You start getting to company size at the strategic level, then you start kind of having more of a command and control that some games have that you have to worry about, and supply just bores me to tears. It's like the Operational Art of War, the computer game. I really want to like that game, but it's not the Operational Art of War. It's the Operational Art of Supply Lines, and that just kills it for me. There are some operational. I played Europa back in the day, the big, massive Dragnachosten, the one from GDW.
Right.
I enjoyed that. Of course, when I was playing it, there was about 20 of us that were doing the entire, Russian invasion, and we were playing it in teams, and we each had our command sectors, and it was broken down like a military operation. So I think that's why I enjoyed that. But there are operational games I want to like, but it really comes down to how the command and control in a strategic game and what the supply is in the operational game. I'm kind of got high hopes for Trial of Strength that's coming out hopefully this year, because that looks like a manageable East Front operational game. I'm Case Blue from MMP. I'll never touch it. I will never touch that game. There's a small part of me, that 16-year-old gamer that's all wide, bright-eyed and shiny at the sparkliness of the massive size of it. But the realistic part of me knows, no, I'm never going to touch that.
That's exactly what I was talking about earlier. Like, I love the thought of playing that. When I see Kev's, the big board set up or some other pictures, I'm just like, dang, that's awesome. That would be so cool. And then when it comes down to execution, like, oh, I just don't. I missed, Devin, the game you said that's coming out that you might play.
Oh, Trial of Strength.
Oh, from Lock and Load, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've kind of determined that my level of operational, it's probably more strategic, is the Simonich games, the 44, 43.
Holland, Ukraine, all
yeah. But I did just sell off Ardennes. Well, actually, no, I haven't sold it off yet. I'm trying to sell it because I really don't like Battle of the Bulge games. but that's kind of I think that's kind of the scale I'm happy with. I have one OCS game, Sicily. Oh, I haven't played that one. Because I like the idea of being able to do the whole Sicily, the whole island is cool, And I know it's not the best representation of OCS, but I'm just not the massive East Front. So like East Front, I play the MMP, Victory Lost, Victory Denied. That's more my scale. It's like a little simpler. I get that big picture feel, and I'm good. So,
but that's cool though. I mean, I think there's levels, right? So you can take on the Russian campaign and see the whole thing, and go, it's kind of weird that there's all this stuff happening around Rostov or Moscow or Stalino or wherever, or Kursk, and you go, well, I wonder what happened around there. And you go look online, you go, well, shit, there's a game that's got an operational thing about Kursk. I'm gonna like Jaws of Victory, right? About the 1944 Corson pocket. That's pretty fascinating. Well, what scale makes sense there? So you could do Ukraine 43, which is kind of the precursor to that. That kind of runs from east of Kursk through west of Korsun and through the Dnieper, whatever it's called, whatever the river, DNEPR, Dnieper River, and that whole collapse of the German front. Or you can do Ukraine 44, which is just after the collapse, down on the southern section, then go work that out. Or you can do Jaws of Victory, which is in between, and it's 1 day a turn, 1 or 2 kilometers a hex or something like that, and battalions and companies and things, and you can dig in at that level. So it's kind of grand tactical almost. So that's the cool thing about war games. There's so many fantastic choices. And you may get a shitty game in amongst all those, right? Who's to say?
Yeah.
But Devin can revel in the tactical nuance of fighting over, I don't know, the airfield at Coruscant or the rail terminals at one of the towns whose name is right on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember right now. But
Veliki Lukai or Ponyari or something like that.
Reinforcing one right now, building improved positions. But but you can do that sort of stuff down to that, that detailed level, or you can telescope out and go, well, that was one hex, right? So
it's even then, yeah.
Whatever, right?
So go ahead, Deb.
That's also the other thing that I absolutely love about wargaming. Regardless of what scale you want to play at, there's also the difficulty of being super simple to massive monster. It's like for the tactical, ASL is the massive monster. You want detail in a game at the tactical level, it's ASL. But say at the operational level, you don't want something so heavy. There are games that fit that niche. So that's the one thing I appreciate. And that's kind of what will look for in the operational. I want the easier operational. Yeah. Like I said, I've done Europa. Hell, I even played Campaign for North Africa once. I played the smallest scenario, Operation Battle Axe. Never again. Right. So,
yeah, no, I'm with you, Deb. That's me. That's why I'm kind of buying a little bit more into ASL again. Like, you know what? I like tactical. That's good. I'll get my simple and my higher level. So, Kev, one thing when you asked if I want to do this call, I did want to ask you about Jaws of Victory, just kind of a quick overview, like what is it? What's the kind of the differentiating thing about it and the scale and all that stuff? If you don't mind doing a quick pitch for it.
Well, I have my notes here.
Oh, beautiful.
No, I'm kidding. I do have the rules because I know you mentioned that, but it's really interesting because when I did the first read through, I was looking at the dates for the game and realized it was daily turns. So that's kind of interesting. And it does fit between Ukraine 43 and Ukraine 44. So there's that, it has that going for it, but it's down at a much more detailed sort of tactical level. So you're dealing with, well, it's the Victory in the West system.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. So modified, right? So it has, it doesn't have random or hidden counter strengths. Any unit that's an A grade unit will have, if it's Russian, it's going to have an A grade unit. It's going to have a 20 combat factor starting. The Germans will have 16 or 14 or whatever it is. You go to B, C, D, E, and F. It kind of goes down from there. But what it does do is give you steps, right? So to go from, 20 to 16, and then from 16 to 12, and 12 to 8, and 8 to 4, and then you're dead, right? So there's a fair amount of attrition that can occur in the game. So but it also has the move, attack, or move, reserve, move, attack. It's got some unique artillery rules. It's got unique supply rules that are not onerous, but they're interesting. So got to track back a certain number of hexes to be in supply, and then you've got these little counters represent depots, and you can move those depots around every turn. You just pick it up and put it down somewhere, but it's got to be within a certain range of a terminal or on a road or within to a source of supply. And then from there, anything beyond its throw range, you lose a supply factor. So let's say you start with 4 supply factors. If you are 6 hexes away, you get your 4 supply factors. But if you're 7 hexes away, you only get 3 supply factors. 3 supply factors. Mm-hmm. If you're 12 hexes away as a German or 20 hexes away as a Soviet, you get 1 less again. So it's got this kind of graded. The longer your supply chain is, the harder it is for you to push supply out. So what's supply for? You want to use artillery, got to burn a point. Want to use air, got to burn a point. Want to have a supported attack, got to burn a point. So it has this sort of neat little leash collar thing going on, and a pretty cool little combat system that's actually pretty quick to work through, and it's a really, I think anyway, because I'm only 2 turns into it, it's going to be a super attritional combat.
Sounds like it.
Even at 6-1, you can not roll. There's a number you can roll that's not good for the attacker, and you can lose a step. Both sides are going to lose a step most of the time.
That's cool.
You may get a retreat. You may not get a retreat. You might get a disruption. So there's disruptions and regroupings and all. So it's this slow, because it's 26 days, right? So it's this slow, gradual moving back and pocketing, and then the counterattack coming in. So it sells a great story. I don't know how it'll play out, because I'm sure we know what the history was. So what can the Germans do differently? What can the Soviets do differently? But it seems to be a meaty 2-map, really probably 2 counter sheet, so 500 counters, but it feels like a lot more, because it's all kind of here's 2/3 of the counters in 20 hexes, and here's another third of the counters in 10 hexes, and there's some other shit spread around, right? So it's all, I've got 3 armies packed in within about 10, 12 hex range type of thing.
I got you.
And lots of special rules for, sort of guiding the historical game.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. Awesome. Yeah, I didn't realize it was a Victory in the West kind of variant or something.
It's kind of derivative of that. It's that New England Simulations guys. They did the Killing Ground and an expansion for that. But it's just built on that same SPI system. So it's pretty straightforward. Like, you can read and go, okay, yeah, got it.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Well, I'm sorry it took so long to tell you all that.
No, it's perfect, Kev. Beautiful.
Thanks.
Didn't
even need this.
Good job. Yeah, that's quick and succinct. Yeah, Victory in the West is one thing. The only game I played in that was Fall Blau. I actually had the developer/designer. I played with him here in St. Louis. That was good. I'm good.
Is that Greg?
I think so.
Gary, Greg, something like that.
Sure. I'm good. I've experienced it.
Don't need to do it again.
No. It's one time. I think this is a game I have learned this about any kind of gaming, whether wargame or Euro or whatever.
Right.
It's definitely a game I need to play again. And I think I'd get some of the stuff. There was just it was not too complicated. There were just some elements there that I'm like, well, I'm not getting it. And it was kind of cool elements, but then again, it's like, I don't care. So I'm not going to spend time.
Yeah, that system to me was that one was a little problematic. It had issues with the counters. They were really hard to read, and you had to have formations clustered together. It had some goofy, like, wire trip rules where if you did a certain thing, you released Soviet reinforcements, so the Germans could just go, yeah, well, I'm not going to do that then. I'm going to go this way.
Yeah.
There's some of that shit going on, and then some of the wording in the game made that command stuff complicated. So we had 4 guys and got together, spent 7-8 hours on it, and then said, well, let's call it here, posted some questions, realized we played wrong, asked the questions and sort of asked for clarifications and ratification, and got kind of well, sorry, you're so stupid that you couldn't work it out, but got the answers eventually, got back together 6 weeks later, played again, quite enjoyed it, but then realized that there were these goofy rules and these gamey things you could do. So then we made our own house rules and played it a third time, and then said, yeah, we don't ever need to play with this guy's system again. His version of Victory in the West.
Yeah. Because
it goes way back to SPI days. Go play the old SPI stuff and try it. It's a good game. Good system.
So, and what we actually played was not Fall Blau. We played the one that's coming out soon.
The Kharkov thing, or
Yeah.
whatever it is. Yeah. Okay.
And that's what we were doing, kind of helping play test. But I definitely my side that I played so bad that I don't think I helped him in the play test at all.
well, that game, I think, if it's because he's doing one for MMP and one for Compass.
Yeah, and it's the same thing.
It can't be the same thing.
It's pretty much the same thing. Kharkov Battles, I don't remember which one. I think this is I don't know. I think it's Compass Games is the one.
One was Compass, one was Kharkov, one was Kursk.
Oh yeah. I think the one I played was Kharkov.
One of those has a dinky rule in it. I think it's the MMP one. It has a dinky rule in it where it's if you cross this hex or do this or have so many strength points over this line for this period of time, boom, you get 30 bazillion Soviet divisions. There's a similar goofy rule in one of those two games as well, because the rules were available for download, and that drove my choice not to buy. Yeah, so everyone needs to understand here. I have a hard time wrapping my head around some rules on games, which is why I think it's goofy. I'm trying ASL. I'll do an ASL, but whatever. But and that was the problem I was having. I was just really having a hard time grasping. You had to keep some guys, just like one unit on the edge over here. Right, let's see. It's so hard, this camera. Like keep a unit here and keep one here, and you won't get these reinforcements that come over. It's kind of stimulating that they're blocking off, but it was weird. It's like one unit. I didn't even understand what was going on. And then I love is that this instant came up. I don't even remember the rule. Some other rule that you could get. Anyway, I did something, or I should say I didn't do something, and I got surrounded or something. And the guy running goes, "Why did you do that?" I'm thinking, "Fuck, I didn't even know. I didn't even know. I didn't know what I was doing." You're
no idea. I don't know.
But as the designer, he should be, if he's trying to get a playtest out of you, he should be helping you play the game to the best of your ability, and not just, particularly if you haven't read the rules. I'm assuming you hadn't read the rules or had skimmed them when you turned up, right?
I haven't read them at all. That's a problem. I mean, that's a little bit of a problem.
But so I mean, shit, you can't just. I was teaching someone how to play World of War 85, and you give them choices like, hey, well, if you do this, this could happen. Do this, this could happen. Or you could do this, and that would be really good for me. But I wouldn't do that. I would do this, right? Or this. And, some things worked out for him, some things didn't. But you don't screw, especially as a designer, you don't screw a guy over or not tell them.
I think so. I think there's a couple of things. One,
you're going to break the game, right?
Well, yeah, I think what happened a little bit in that is I don't know what the expectations were, but there might have been an expectation that more of us had played the game or at least read the rules before. So I think there was some mixed expectations about going into that. So, and two of us at least, if not 3 out of the 4, had not even read the rules. I think 2 hadn't read the rules, and 1 had only a little bit, and 1 had played part of a game.
As a game system that big, that involved, that's not a play test. That's just a goof around, right? Yeah.
So I think but I think he was coming in as a playtest mindset. And if he had known, okay, wait, these guys don't know, let me just teach the game system, he might have approached it differently, right? And said, okay, it's kind of like you said, I have no idea, I don't know the guy, but I have a feeling all of our expectations were different going into it.
Sounds like none of them were met either.
Yeah, I mean, I did feel kind of bad for the guy. I'm like, well, this didn't achieve his goal. Right?
All right. So
that's just some of it. It's just expectations and
well, look, it's fun to see new games and see new systems.
Yeah, no, I mean, some of the stuff that it was doing was cool. I mean, I never seen. I think it had some of that variable strength stuff. I love stuff like that, especially since I do a lot of solo. So it's cool to have that stuff. That's
right. Well, that helps. So that's what the TW is so popular for, is the unknowns. But I think with this game, they decided not to have the unknowns because the Soviets were a better quality army by 44. The Germans were a relatively known quantity by 44, and so they said, well, look, an A is an A, a B is a B. Let's just use them. Why screw someone over by giving you an A that has a 40% less combat value than a regular A. So they just made everybody an A is an A and a B is a B without having that chaotic element to it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so Custo 61, another great question. We need to have this guy, whoever you are, sir, on our chats in future, because that's the third good question you've asked, I think, or maybe fourth. So who has been a playtester? Obviously Todd has, but to disaster.
Well, that was a bad one, but I have on a couple others.
So like what?
Oh, you want me to expand? I thought you just wanted me I thought this was a yes/no question. It's Custer, that's the only way your questions can be better. Maybe phrase it as yes or no.
Go ahead, Todd.
I'm an a-hole like that. Okay. No, I'm just kidding. Custer 61. Don't downvote this video. I've miniature rules. I've done a couple, and again, I did learn the lesson of expectations. Like, what are they wanting out of you when you're playtesting and also proofing the rules? Are they wanting to, like, just vocabulary, like just basic writing and understanding? Does it sound right? Or do they need to understand this tank with that particular mechanic doesn't work together?
Right. What's the expectation from the test, right?
Yes, I think that needs to be very clear. And that wasn't clear. I'd say generally my playtest experience has not been fantastic. But I'm learning each time I do it, like, okay, and it's all about expectations and what do you really want from this, right? And I was going to help play test some of the scenarios that Mr. OG here is designing, and I eventually reached a point I'm like, I'm probably not going to be able to do that because I'm lazy. Well, it's not lazy. I just got but I'd love to help because I'm Devin, man.
I appreciate it. Devin. I appreciate it.
But that's my only experience. It's not been a lot, but you guys probably have more than me. So please proceed. I'll be quiet.
I've play tested a few. Not all of them ever got published, but I play tested a few. There was one. The first one I ever did back in '93, I think, it was called Tigers in the Mist. No, it's not the GMT Tigers in the Mist, but this was an area movement, point to point, Battle of the Bulge game, which I actually enjoyed. That was one I would have liked to seen come to fruition. Like I said, various little games here and there at cons that people are doing, but I've never seen go to publishing. Oh, there you are.
That's great.
That was a good experience. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I mean, I've done some, scenario play testing for ASL back in the day when I was playing ASL. Most recently, Space Infantry Resurgence. I had a tiny little input on that, and World at War 85, and didn't do much with Storm in the Gap, but I'm wholeheartedly 2 feet in with the next one, Blood and Fury. So those are my playtest claims to fame.
Yeah, you've definitely jumped in with. I'm sorry, I'm bragging now.
You're a dork. You're such a dork, Todd.
I got to get what I can, man.
I'm going to cross my fingers because I have a question I want to ask about Blood and Fury. So I had really weird experiences with playtesting. So I think I got involved somehow with a TCS playtest. And at that point in my life, printing just was like, okay, I got to go print these. I had to print the rules to read them. So I would print the rules. And by the time I printed the rules, organized a play day to play on Vassal to play test, the game rules had changed. I got a new set of rules. So print the rules.
Oh man.
Go to play. I finally said, you know what? Freaking hell. I'm out. I'm can't help. Thanks for nothing. Never got to do anything. Then I guess some other games, without naming companies, I've read rules for English translation, and I read rules for clarity and things of that nature, and offered comment back on that. The old Lock and Load, I did go through Desert Heat, and they wanted me to play all the scenarios on Vassal, and I said, how about I start with just checking to see if the setups were right, because they weren't. So, you know, things like that. But I'm not the guy to tell you whether. Oh, and we did. Me and my buddy did do playtest on the French module for Lock and Load Modern Tactical, and we taught a new one because the special rules were horrible and the scenario balancing was terrible. But other than that, I'm not the right person for that. I can assess a game when it's finished, right? But trying to work out, should you give someone one more card to draw or 2 more squads, or should supply be 11 hexes or 12 hexes? Those guys that do that and understand that and go, wait, no, on the 27th of January, that battalion was not there, fella. That is not me.
I'm with you. I just don't know if I have the right view of a game. Even like, Devin, like scenarios like we had talked about. And even not just was it printing stuff that was an issue. It's just like, I'm just not sure especially solo play. I'm just not sure I would. The biggest thing I would be able to do is like, I don't understand this setup,
right?
Or this, or kind of like that. Like, what are you trying to say here? But as whether you should have an extra Stug or an extra squad, I'm like, I just don't view games like that. I'm too high level flighty with stuff. That's why I'm itinerant. I travel around. I'm not. So
why you call yourself itinerant? Because you're a nomad.
A nomad in a robe, man.
A wargaming nomad robe, a robe wearing wargaming nomad.
I should be called a nomad wargamer. Hey, did you say you had what did you say you had a question for Devin? What did you say?
Oh yeah. So I really changed the topic. The next
Blood and Fury.
Yeah. So what nationalities are in there?
UK, West German, Dutch, US for NATO, and PAC is Soviet and Polish.
Huh. So more Soviet formations, and they're going to be the actual formations, right?
Yep. As historically accurate as Storming the Gap 85 was, not Mark Walker's version.
Right. Yeah, sure.
So, but yeah, you're gonna be seeing the actual formations that the BAOR would have faced had the balloon gone up in that time period.
New maps.
Oh yes, 6 new maps, I want to say.
Pseudo-realistic joiny thingies.
Yeah, I mean it's the North German plains, so you are gonna be seeing like taking a look at the maps. Yeah, it's the kind of the same maps that we already have in Storming the Gap 85. Keith is working on the monster campaign, kind of like what he did for Frankfurt, which he took an actual overhead location and just converted to the geomorphic. There's going to be that again. I'm not sure where that is going to be. I haven't talked with Keith too much about it. I've just been kind of focusing on the actual scenarios themselves. So
put a big city in there. I mean, you guys need to have a big city. Like, there's a couple of 2 or 3 hex things. You need to get, give us a freaking city.
Well, we've got a couple big size city maps in the Battle for Frankfurt.
Yeah, Frankfurt's got a big city in there.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that's
what's that? That's a kilometer.
I'm sorry, what?
It's 4. I think the biggest one is 4 hexes, isn't it?
Not in Frankfurt.
Not in Frankfurt, man. There's a huge one. Did you not look at your game, Kev?
I've played it, son.
Oh,
no, there's a couple maps. I know there's one map that comes with Frankfurt where over half the map is city hexes. So,
really?
Yep. Map, the last map, as you're looking at it, lower right-hand corner, which is the actual outskirts of Frankfurt itself. The map next to that has got probably 25% of the map is city hexes, maybe.
I didn't think there were maps that had that much city terrain on it. So
yeah, just those two are the really big ones that have got lots and lots of. Yeah, because I remember at we got into a very nasty shooting fight with Soviet Spetsnaz helicopter commandos dropping on the American artillery battalion that was sitting in Frankfurt, and that got to be really messy really quick.
Rude. Yeah.
But yes, the maps as they are now, kind of like the Storming the Gap maps. I'm going to guess the historical, I think, is going to take place around Hamburg. Is it Hamburg or Frankfurt up there? It's Hamburg. It's going to be taken, I think, don't quote me on this, and if Keith is still in here and if he wants to say, he can mention. But I will definitely pass on that you were interested in more city fighting, and that you want more city hexes.
So whoa! I'm not, because it's all about infantry and shit. I'm not that guy. Love long range mobile combat, but I think it would be cool to have that experience, having had a couple of little battles on that big, the big map that you,
the Frankfurt map, yeah.
Frankfurt map. There was one big city in the middle, was 4 or 5 hexes long, where we fought over quite aggressively, backwards and forwards. That was kind of a cool experience. It was kind of all infantry with a little bit of tank support. That was fun. I think it'd be cool to have more of that, but with balance, right?
Yeah. Well, I have. We're probably not going to see too much cities in the Scandinavian expansions because the cities aren't that big up there. America Breached is probably going to have a lot of cities in it, just because the urban nature of America. Not going to be seeing many cities at all in the Chinese expansion because that's the Chinese invasion of Vietnam. Yeah. So that's all. Yeah, that's you think the maps are crazy for the Czechoslovakian with all the woods on that. Now the Vietnamese maps are going to be even more bonkers. So.
That'd be interesting. What about so? You know what? I don't want to talk about American Breach. We can leave that. That's a ways out anyway.
Yeah, that's 3 or 4 years out. So.
Is it going to be will it be set in Miami again?
I don't know. I don't even think Keith has a master book. What does he call it? I don't even remember what he calls it. But the guy who takes care of the storyline. I don't know if it's going to be Florida or if it's going to be Texas. Keith may have said something, but
it was Texas, wasn't it?
It was a Texas section as well.
I mean, that's why Chris Arnold on here is excited about, because he's a Texas dude and he's got, that's his. But here we got another question here.
Yeah, I was thinking this was kind of cool question, and I probably should not say anything because I have definitive opinions and I get shouted at by people. So, what do you guys?
We love you, Kev. So do it anyway. Yeah. So, does anyone think that could be resurrected? Not should be, could be.
I'm gonna say no. And primarily for the reason, and I say this with the caveat that the only TCS experience I have is Black Wednesday. I hated writing up the orders. Absolutely hate. I don't know anybody who has really enjoyed sitting down and having to write out the orders for all the TCS games. I could be wrong. You enjoy that?
Love it. That's half the game, man.
Drove me up the wall.
Well, you probably went, and then Bill has to move to hex 11, 27, 28, 34. That's not how you do it, bro. You get a big old marker and you go, Bill's going to here by 12. Make it happen, or you.
I think. So I have even less experience. I owned one, kind of read the rules, kind of dinked around with part of the scenario for a second. That's one of those games that I really wanted to like. Probably a lot of watching your videos, Kev, back in the day. But I think there are probably too many other games out there right now.
Right.
especially the writing of the rule and the orders. I can never really get into is a little harder for me, but that I'm okay with that one. I had this is dumb. I struggled with a little bit of the terrain things. I mean, I'm talking about ASL and some others that are crazy with terrain, but just the terrain, I was like, oh man, I don't. Just the I don't know, the elevation stuff with the measuring the thing. And I know you can do the pancake. I don't know.
Line of sight, yeah, it's a bitch, right? So, oh wow.
I'm not saying it shouldn't be, and
yeah.
I love what's the Canadian one, the Nori or Norway?
Canadian Crucible. That's a good little mod. That's a good one.
That's one I owned, and so that's a game I really needed to play somebody. Like have me play you, and you could just like walk me through the basics or something. So
yeah, and I've played that opposed a couple of times, and it's a lot of fun. But I like it because it's a good solo system because of the rules for orders, right? So you can write up 2 or 3 different sets of orders for your guys, roll a die, and they're going to go execute this now. So now you've got a plan, you've got to stick to that plan, and the enemy has a plan and they have to stick to their plan, and you can adjust at a certain time. But so I think that works, but I kind of feel like that game system's time has passed in the attention span / user interface, gameplay time. It's really a bit of an anchorism. It's clean and precise, and it works. I really like it. I just packed up a Frozen Hell. I played the whole campaign. It was awesome, but that didn't have line of sight issues. The command rules were okay, but I really like it. But I don't think they're doing themselves any favors with how they market it, how they present it, how they the cadence of the number of games they bring out. They just went to Ziploc instead of boxed.
Yeah.
MMP says, well, it costs us more than $1 to make a counter sheet. So they're charging $10 for a counter sheet for great campaigns of the American Civil War. You're charging me $10 for one counter sheet. That kind of just sticks in my craw a little bit. 5, 6, maybe even 7, I could say, sure. But $10, you print in America, let's say it's twice as expensive as China. And I think all of us here know how much it costs in China. So maybe $2 tops for a counter sheet. I just don't feel comfortable with you charging me 4x or 5x on the cost of that. Mm. So how does that relate back to TCS? TCS, they said, well, it's too expensive to make the games, so we're not going to have a box for them anymore. So they knock, I don't know, some percentage off it, and it varies depending on which modules you look at, but not enough to make it still like, oh, well, gee, I should go get 4 copies or give one of my friends. They haven't made their cutoff number yet, I don't think, for the system. So it's obviously not working. That's not what the problem is. The problem is the system or the way you interact with the system or the marketing. Small hexes, lots of counters, lots of info counters. Why not, if it's a 1-map game, why not make it a larger hexes so there's more room?
Yeah.
Why not make it a 1.5-map game instead?
Yeah, I think you're. I think it's just like when I was coming into it, I just always felt like it was an old game.
You're right. It is. All right. It's being revised and refreshed, but it's old.
But whereas, like, you got like BCS, that's catching people's imaginations, right? I'm not saying it's the same scale. I'm just saying that they've come up with something that people are liking, and I'm kind of considering, trying to avoid that, buying something that's as exciting. But I'm kind of excited about Brazen Chariots, and I kind of putting it off until I really do it. But it's just time has passed, maybe.
Yeah, I kind of feel as I think about it, I kind of feel that way, that it's kind of It's time past.
Your Custer 61 asked a question earlier about is GMT going to be the biggest war game company in 10 years? And it kind of goes to that. Like, so you got it's Revolution Games.
Yep.
And it's Konigsberg and so they don't use Victory in the West system. What system they use? The same system that Victory Denied, Victory Lost uses. Konigsberg and stuff.
Yeah, I think so.
Kind of like it's a chit draw, and anyway. So there's people that are. I mean, Revolution
Denied. Yeah, I'm not.
Anyway, you got some other game companies that are kind of coming in and making a splash, like Revolution and with Blind Sword. Yeah, Hexus, not Hexus M, but Krieg. Oh my gosh, what's the name? Hollenspiel. People seem to be liking that.
Yep.
I mean,
50 games.
I mean, it's just there's some companies coming around that are doing some little different things that people seem to be clutching onto, which is cool. But yet there's still a few people like, so in MMP's case, people still love an OCS. They're kind of going on to BCS. Of course, there's ASL, but that's its own beast. But they're still liking those things.
Right.
And it's just like TCS is like, it's just kind of losing its thing. So
yeah. You make a good point about BCS because it's innovative, it's different, it's thought-provoking. It's not the same I move, you move, do your thing, right? It's got enough newness and they've revised the rules, made the rules full color and legible. I mean, the first version, the Blitzkrieg thing, was terrible because the diagrams, the DPI, the dots per inch was so poor with a black and white copy, you couldn't read the diagrams correctly. It was really, I was like, well, why are you doing this? First volume, monster thing, 5 maps, big, lots of money. Oh, bulge, everyone's going to get that. I hated that. And I was like, well, I'm done with this. I read the rules and I was super enamored with it. Actually getting it on the map and playing with it in tactile way was terrible. I watched 5 guys play it at Game On, and they had all these markers out everywhere that they bought to try and help them keep track of how the game was played because it was so difficult to interact with the map and the counters. And these are seasoned, super duper MMP fans, OCS, TCS. They love all that shit. They love it all. And they're just like, man, we got to have all these tools and aids to make it work. That's not good marketing. And then they fixed it really quickly with BCS and Brazen Chariots and whatever. Brazen Chariots.
Baptism by Fire.
Yeah. Whatever that is. Whatever the other one is. Yeah. Baptism by Fire, right? So they fixed a lot of stuff and made it much, much better. And I think those 2 desert games have really given that system a big kick. And I think the rest will be successful. It's pretty cool. It's fun too. It's a really fun system to play in that sort of context, right?
Yeah. So I think things like that. It's just there are some people doing some stuff that are cool stuff, and some games just need to go to the wayside because we all have limited time and money, and so, and that's why I don't ever like to review games so much because I'm not all the games I'm going to talk about are ones I like because I'm not going to. Just like we were all talking about, I mean, like Goss, right? I mean, that game's crazy, but guess what? People love that game. Well, I'm not.
Right.
Hey, whatever, man.
And it's cool. It's cool that they like it, and that someone makes enough of them. There's enough people who like it that they'll keep printing it. So that's cool.
Yeah, that Grognard Sims. I sent you a game and I tried and you tried. Again, it was kind of like, wow, that's really cool. Well, whatever, man. And I didn't sync with it. Who cares?
Yep.
More power to you, whatever your name is, and people love it, and they're all excited about Normandy, and fantastic. But some games just need to die, and sounds like TCS is it. Sorry, bye.
Yeah.
There are things that happen that you do wonder, like, was it the designer? Was it the developer? You kind of wonder why things go, like, why did that DPI thing go through? I didn't know that was a problem with it. I'm like, come on, printing now? That's crazy. And then you spend money and you get that? That's insane.
Well, just when you've got to focus the rules in front of yourself, you go actually get the PDF and zoom in so you can read the stuff kind of like my camera.
yeah. I guess. Yeah. Let's all caveat this. Don't blame us. Devin and I.
As long as Kevin doesn't move or speak, the camera's great. But you had to go look at the rules online to read them, to read the diagram boxes, right? It was just bizarre that was the case. So why not just print them in color? It cost. Oh well, let's not get into how much it costs, because I guess I've been wrong, and shouted down every time I've tried to. Hey, have you ever thought about doing A, B, or C? Carl Fung from, he's now part of the guild, right? So he, I can't see anything over there anymore because he's like, where, that Kevin Job guy, always complaining. Well, I'm not complaining. I'm expecting you to do better because it's freaking 2020, bro. Like, let's get with the program. I understand it takes a long time, and I understand that it's hard. And the designer doesn't make any money, but the publisher does. Publishers make money. Otherwise, they wouldn't make games. They make money. So get it right, service me, and I'll buy more. So it's really easy. But I ain't buying any more TCS. I'll buy it secondhand, or whatever else it is that comes out that doesn't get serviced well by the publisher. That's GMT. Great job of taking care of people.
One of the things I think the problem that MMP has is they're not really looking to expand their player base. They're just trying to keep on to what they've got.
Yeah. Milk the ASL base.
That's right? Basically it. Yeah.
Do you think so? That's an interesting question. So, I don't know. MMP. You think they're? What am I trying to say here? So to me, the systems that really stand out for them are OCS. Obviously, Great Campaign to the Civil War is gaining some steam, a little bit. ASL's ASL. What else do they have?
SCS, right? So I have that.
SCS, yeah. That's
there's ASL, and they pay a licensing fee to Hasbro, and there's everything else. And everything else is the gamers.
Yeah.
Which is Dean Essick. OCS, SCS, TCS,
BCS.
GCACW is Ed Beach and Belkowski originally, and a few other guys. And all of the GTS system, Starkweather's stuff. They got
GTS.
Yeah, a handful of guys have, jumped on that and going to take that over. God bless you. Good luck with all that, right? I think Adam's gone and revised his system enough that CSS eventually will push GTS to one side. OCS is for ASL players. Who don't want to do operational or want to take a break from tactical, right? It's big. I bet you the crossover is like 98%. I'm guessing.
I think you might be right.
Yeah. And I love OCS, and I'll buy most of the modules, but I look at those big 10 map games, and I don't know that I have the appetite to buy 3 or 4 more sets of those, because I don't know I'll get the value out of them. I appreciate the effort, but I don't know that I need, like, I have a bunch of them already, and some of them I don't like, right? And there's some that are not good.
You do realize with all these acronyms we've been throwing around the last 10 minutes, when Il Duce himself, Dan Pencaldi, our friend, watches this, it's going to make his head explode.
Well, good. If you're going to be the war game news guy, you need to know the freaking acronyms. This is my fucking problem, right?
Yep.
It's my problem that you don't know.
Amen. Amen, brother.
If you're watching, you can ask a question. What is SCS? Happy to tell you. I'll probably get it wrong.
But now you got me. Now you got me. This is a good question. So kind of like similar to TCS. And I have 2 of the games. I have Crete and the first D-Day one, the GTS. And I bought one CSS game, Montelimar. And I wanted to like CSS, but I was kind of like, oh man, I don't know. The battle just didn't do much for me.
Right.
Do you think they will move to? I mean, I know. Do we need another friggin' Market Garden game, another friggin' D-Day game? But and I like that they are attacking battles that are different, right? Like Yojima. I mean, yeah, that's pretty cool. But again, Pacific, I don't know. Do you really think that they'll push them out? Will they have to do these major battles to push GTS out? Because CSS definitely was more clear when they figure things out after the first or second edition. But
yeah. Well, that's a Starkweather problem, right? It takes him 2 or 3 modules to work out the rules. It's horrible that you've got to. I won't buy first versions of his games anymore. So, but that's a specific Adam thing. Montelamar has challenges with this the campaign scenario design. The first day and a half is a waste of time. You should have started a little later. And anyway, and that's just not me talking. That's the guys I play with. It's not just me pulling crap out of my ass. It's 4 other guys going, wait a second, I've been here 2 days, physically here 2 days. I haven't done anything yet. Why am I here? Right? Oops, have a beer, here's some steak. I'm sorry.
Well, so I guess that's why I bought GTS, because I was like, well, at least they figured. I think they've worked out their scenario design and stuff. So it seems like there might need to be some good scenario design put in CSS before it overtakes it. But they're definitely more affordable. CSS, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, the Little Land was expensive, right? That Nova.
I didn't buy it.
Yeah, my buddy's got it. We're going to play in a couple of weeks, actually.
Okay. Well, man, see what you think.
I don't even know that. I don't get GTS and CSS. So the Grand Tactical System and the company something system is they're in a space that's difficult to work in for me. I don't get it tactically. It's either extremely repetitive or wild and woolly, one of the two, and I don't get how to play those. I don't know if I really like that system yet. Divisional command, but moving battalions of guys around at a time, and there's this kind of nothing in between to tie it together. I get confused. So no supply. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think why I like again GTS, again, a little bit of it's some of the guys that are really into it, Ty and some of those guys I really like, and I think that they got some cool things. And there's something about the scale, because I can still, a little problem I have with operational games, I lose some of the personal touch and history of it, because a division or a corps, I'm like, corps, I don't know, but at least at that level I can still picture a company,
right?
And just some of the art, and the concept, again, it's the concept of it, and I'm still thinking I might want to get into it. So I haven't sold those off yet. So I'm still holding on hope that.
Yeah, I mean, I think those systems have a lot going. They have a lot going for them, and they're beautiful, and they're excessively big and big hexes and all that. I don't know. I struggle. I just struggle with the mechanics of the game versus anything else. So anyway, we're kind of flogging the horse on that. But there's something to be said for listening to your marketplace and understanding what's going on with your marketplace versus just pushing the same stuff out in the same format. There's no reason why you couldn't take TCS, like the new version, the new one, whatever it's, the African map or whatever it is, the Arate or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Why that couldn't have been a map and a half with bigger hexes, larger counters, just to try it as a, hey, Hail Mary, maybe this will make the game more appealing. Let's do 5/8 counters with the larger hexes. Maybe that'll help sell the game. I don't know. I would just do something different. Do some marketing. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's hard. It's hard to manage multiple product lines and their life cycle, and
Sure.
It's just tough to do it well. I mean,
But the publisher doesn't. The publisher's not doing that necessarily. That's the designer, their guru. You know, the TCS guru is a guy, and the BCS guru is a guy, and there's an OCS guy, and he goes to Dean and says, "Hey, I want to do this better. Okay, bring me back a game that has counters, an OB, a map, and some rules. And when it's done and you've played it 4 or 5 times, let's talk about whether it gets on the list." So the publisher is only really going to worry about it once the guru says, "Hey, we're ready, right? We're ready to go. Let's do it."
Yeah.
What do you guys think about this comment here? The Red Simonson's artwork for maps. What's your thoughts on that from the 70s and the 80s?
I gotta say, I'd have to go on Board Game Geek and look up some of his stuff. I know the name. I'm just never quite clear which stuff he did, and I feel bad about that. But so I'm not gonna be able to provide much.
Any map made prior to 85 with 3 colors or less.
That was his.
Yeah, pretty much. SBI, right?
Well, I definitely have kind of I know. So now you say that, I mean, that's when I bought a couple war games when I was a kid, and that would have been those. And there's certainly a fondness for those. That's for sure. But that's about all I can say about that.
Well, for me, the big thing that I think a lot of people seem to forget about the early SBI, AW, or Avalon Hill games is that, all right, well, this was the 70s and the early 80s.
Right.
These guys did not have art degrees. I mean, all right, you might have a guy who might know how to draw. You didn't have computer-assisted anything.
Sure.
I mean, pretty much at best, you might have a drafter's kit to help you with it. Plus, printing capabilities back then were just awful, and that's why we had so many games that were 3 or 4 colors, because the technology just wasn't there.
Yep.
I have a fondness for them because it is a quainter and more simpler artwork that I sometimes enjoy. Yep. I don't need and I'm prejudiced by my youth in this. It's what I started gaming with. It's what I was used to.
Yeah,
I'm perfectly fine with that. I don't need a fancy map board to make a game good to me. Is it enjoyable? Sure. Does it enhance the gameplay? Sure. But if someone was to come out with a 4-color map, I probably will still play it just because it doesn't bother me. Yep. So, and so many times I've had to argue with this with people is that we were constrained by the technology of the time.
Of course. Yeah.
So, the guys did the best they could with what they had, and they were able to do some really, really good stuff. Although I will still say the SPI quad game 5th Core, the Hoff Gap, god awful horrible maps. Kevin and you and I have argued this before. But I mean, you take a look at the Plot to Assassinate Hitler.
Yep.
Very, very simple, but still, that's a pretty map in my
NATO
opinion.
Division Commando, Operation Typhoon.
Mm-hmm.
Those game maps are gorgeous still today, and they're functional. They do the job. Now, I think what has changed is that people are more prepared to put more relevant information on the map, right? Game enhancing information. They're more inclined to use color on counters or triangles like Lock and Load does. So triangles represent something to do with fire. So we know that if it's a colored triangle, something's going to be relevant to fire. Well, that's got a yellow number or a green number or a blue number. Well, that's cool. This for anti-air, and green is this and black is that and white is this. And, TCS does that, and OCS does that, and all these systems, they're starting to use color.
The Death Ride series does that.
Right. Death Ride does a great job of that. They let themselves down with the quality that they're printing. Because they're pseudo home shop, right? And price point versus home shop quality doesn't work because of the volume. But it's an interesting system. Todd, I'm kind of hateful with you because you've got me looking at trying to buy a second module so I can put 2 modules together to see how it plays at scale.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, great. So I'm going to drop $100 just to work out that it's really not.
Play a free game.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to ship it back to you whenever you want. You just tell me. Or you sell it, I'll ship it to someone for you.
I know. I want you to spend that money first, and then play, and then realize you don't want it.
And then we'll sell both of them together. I'll give you all the money. How's that?
Oh, perfect. Sounds like a great deal. So I was just looking up some. If you guys tell me, like, I should turn off my camera. I was looking at Red and trying to find up some. So yeah, his maps. I kind of see what you're talking about now. It's definitely a distinct style there.
I'll mention that I was very surprised about talking about how people demand better looking maps. I was really surprised, and Kevin, you're going to agree with me on this, with what GMT did with Panzer and MBT. Those maps are horrible looking. But a part of me understands from an aesthetic point of view. Yeah, these are like 4-6 color maps. But I was really surprised that GMT went down that path, because they could have done so much better. I mean, even the original MBT maps that Avalon Hill did.
They're gorgeous.
They're gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. These new maps. Oof.
Okay, so I do have a question about that. So people complain about ASL being too whatever compared to like now, like Conflict of Heroes and OST. I mean, those maps are awesome, and even Lock and Load has done it to some degree. But I kind of like the ASL because it's just maybe it's just a vibe thing, and maybe it's a nostalgia thing.
I'm playing a gritty tactical game. I must have gritty tactical artwork.
Oh, stop it!
I'm old school.
That's not why. There's just something about it. But you're right. When I look at MBT, I'm like, I'm fine with ASL, but when I look at MBT or Panzer, I'm like, oh, gee. I mean, but
it's such stark artwork that it detracts from the rest of the quality of the game. And the fact that they've made larger hexes and larger counters, and those counters don't fit in the hexes, I just want to grab someone and rip their throat out. It's like, what the freaking hell were you thinking, right? Either make the hex 2 millimeters bigger or make the counter smaller. But the counters sit over the edges of the hexes. Pisses me off. So you play Big Bad, you've got crap all over the place, you're knocking shit all over the place. It's a mess. And then you've got this, fugly brown stain that
tan colored,
smeared some poop, and then they put some water on it and smeared some more poop, and now that's a hill. Awesome. And then there's a couple different types of trees, and then there's a ditch thing. I mean, okay, fabulous. And it's all the same across every theater.
So what's the difference between, Combat Commander has a similar style, right?
Well, they're not particularly pretty either. I mean,
but people look past that. Is it because the game's so much better?
I don't know. That's a whole other story.
Combat Commander is a lot easier than MBT. You can slip into that game. Plus, it's got the card mechanic, so it's something unique. MBT,
much, I don't think.
Yeah.
With MBT, you're looking at it all the time. Sorry.
No, Ed, that's fine. So it's apples and oranges, I think, in the mindset of the players. With MBT, because I remember the original MBT, and that had a gorgeous map that went along, kind of like TAC Air. TAC Air had a gorgeous map as well.
And I think that's part of the problem. It's a step backwards from what it was.
Yeah. And so, I mean, for me, like I said, I can go with function over form. Sure. But there's just something about the MBT maps that I kind of cringe at.
Right.
So
yeah,
I guess we're spoiled these days. We are.
Yeah. Look, we're spoiled for choice for certain, right? I mean, I look at you talk about quality dichotomies. You look at Vento Nuovo's block games compared to Columbia's block games, and on a cost per play, cost per block, cost per box, whatever. Vento Nuovo is kicking people's asses with what you get in the box and the gameplay value versus the the Columbia games coming out with their goofy pricing mechanisms, and Worthington games with their $65 hold fast career with 40 counters and 40 blocks and 2 sets of 40 stickers in case you screw up one, and a flimsy cardboard map and 10 pages of rules, same price as Vento Nuovo with 5 times the content inside and better quality maps. And
graphics are just much better in Vento Nuovo.
The latex stickers, you can peel those stickers off 3 weeks later and go, oh, let me straighten that up. Right? Waterproof maps, let alone the dye inside those blocks won't poison you like the ones in Worthington will.
What?
Rumor has it. Well, they're done in China, right? So China uses a particular paint.
Wow.
Thing. So.
We're definitely spoiled.
But all choices. It's great to be a gamer now. That's why we all have so many. Well, where are we at, dudes? We've been on. It's
2.5 hours practically.
Wow. 12 hours. Damn. That went fast.
It did. It really did.
Yes, it did.
Oh, shut up, Todd.
I've been doing my taxes over here while you guys are babbling on.
You're the one that went on. No, I'm kidding.
I did. I'm pretty excited. When Kev asked, I felt like I'd been asked out on a date. I was kind of flattered.
Dude, totally. Felt the same way.
It's okay.
Totally.
There's anything wrong with that. Okay.
No. I'm wearing a robe on a call. So
but you have pants on, so.
Do I still go?
I don't know. You might have taken them off.
He took that camera off at one point.
He did.
You want to? Shall we?
No, that's not.
Right.
Nothing but love, Todd. But
let's do it again soon, guys.
Definitely, we'll have to do this again.
Bye.
It's fun. You had a lot of people. Good questions, everybody.
A lot of good questions. Really good questions.
Ciao.
Just
bye.
let's see if